Say this again, if I'd ever say it again. But OnePlus is kind of back.
I'm going to agree with Marques. I do think that OnePlus is back, but I don't think that's necessarily a good idea. Let me explain. See, OnePlus became viral back when consumer priorities were different. If you bought a Samsung or HTC phone back in 2014, the flagships weren't cheap, and the layers of software over Android were so overwhelming that what people complained about was lag. You grabbed your new phone and it was already slow, and by the way, these layers were a solution to how poor Android was in the beginning versus what iPhones could do. People don't remember you couldn't even multi-touch until HTC did their own solution, but then all those things that HTC Sense and TouchWiz came to solve lasted long enough to create the perfect Troy for OnePlus to invade. The original OnePlus strategy to never settle came at the right time when CyanogenMod was doing KitKat even better than Google. This premise of fast and fluid software on a powerful chip at a crazy aggressive price made a lot of sense, but for 2014. 9 years later, a lot has changed. Most of its competitors are either gone or fixed their software or built their own flagship killers. Now, what's most important, though, is that consumer needs have changed even more. Going back to the past doesn't necessarily address the desires of the present, even if in many ways, I do feel this new OnePlus 11 gets a lot of things right. I'm Jaime Rivera with Pocketnow, and it's time for our full review. Let me start by actually telling you why you should get this phone, because there are a lot of things I like. At $699, this is actually one of the best bang-for-the-buck smartphones you can buy right now. It's just $100 more expensive than the Pixel 7, which was my best value pick last year, and $200 below its Pro sibling, and yet better than them in lots of ways. In the United States, there's no phone at this price rocking the latest Snapdragon 8 Gen 2, meaning top-notch power and efficiency. Heck, less expensive phones don't even offer a charger in the box, let alone a solution that gives you a full day of battery life in less than 30 minutes. Sure, the base model doesn't have the fastest storage or best RAM capacity, but an extra Benjamin will get you there. Also, name another phone with Wi-Fi 7. Seriously, this phone has got all the power you'll need for years. Even visually, I'd say this phone packs a punch. You pick if you want gloss with this green or matte with black. Gorilla Glass 5 Invictus might not be the latest, but still well praised for durability, and I think OnePlus got the memo on its usage of plastics because this phone goes back to metal, and the three-way mute slider is back as well. Even the weight distribution is just right for this to not feel like a heavy brick all day in your hands. Now, another thing that OnePlus gets right is this display. Just like they were one of the first to pioneer high refresh rate, this is one of the first panels with the latest LTPO, meaning crazy smooth 120Hz along with crazy touch sampling rates. Best of all, colors are just gorgeous and accurate, and viewing angles are fantastic, and the size of this panel along with its dual firing speakers are just right for content consumption and gaming. To this lineup, and also one of my favorite. Now, believe it or not, I won't be one to complain about Oxygen OS. I know a lot of you have complained about how much it looks like ColorOS, but the core elements that I care about are still here. You can disable absolutely anything you don't like, whether you prefer the app tray or not, or want the shelf or not, or want different gestures to easily call on your favorite features when the phone is off. Oxygen OS became famous for letting you make your phone whichever way you want, in addition to being fast and smooth, and that's really what you get here. And then there's the experience of using this phone in day-to-day, where I feel few devices have this amount of insane battery life. This is one of the few phones today I'm confident to top up quickly before heading out to the city and not having to worry about until tomorrow. I can even notice how it clinks to AT&T's 5G network really well, and which means phone calls are always reliable. Seriously, as a workhorse, this is what I'd call a champ, but alright, what's the catch? If the hardware, software, experience, and price are all good, then what's wrong? Well, To give you an analogy, this is like trying to buy a 2023 car that lacks CarPlay or Android Auto. Listen, I'm sure there's a market that still doesn't care, but consumer behavior has shifted to look for these kinds of perks. You can't just tell a consumer your car drives well anymore, because that should be a given. New features like Android Auto didn't exist 10 years ago, but now they've actually become a selling point. Fast and fluid software, good battery, fast charging, premium materials, good looks, and a fast ship are all things to be expected for a phone at $699. This is no longer something special, and yet one of these essentials, which is wireless charging, is not included. I also think 2023 is no longer a year to brag about photography. Try to convince those gaming teenagers or even young adults today to not care about making TikToks or Reels. Vertical video has become so important these last 3 years that even Samsung spent most of the Galaxy S23 keynote making a big deal about it, and yet OnePlus is late. Fine, they fixed the Rec 2020 mess, but the codec is still choppy. You'll see warping everywhere, the dynamic range is just not there, and switching between cameras is inconsistent. Sure, there's 8K, but then the selfie camera is stuck at 1080p. And sure, TikToks follow that resolution, but that means poor quality provided with no ability to reframe yourself or even to use higher quality 4K downsampled. Listen, my 13-year-old son just asked me to switch him from his OnePlus 8 Pro to a beat-down iPhone 11 just because of this. And listen, this is not to say that you won't like the photos. We've got some very good specifications if you're one of the proud few that still cares only about photography, and the Hasselblad filter over the results adds so much character. The ultra-wide is more than capable of helping you get epic or even go macro. The primary then provides all the detail you look for in a flagship, and even the telelens at 2x does enough of the kind of work that I want for street photography. Now, neither of these extra cameras does my favorite work in low light, but the night mode does pack enough of a punch for these to be decent, even if I'd recommend you stick to the primary camera for those tasks. Also, I'd say you really need to try these Hasselblad photo effects, particularly on those portrait modes. I mean, it's no mirrorless camera, but it knows how to create some amazing separation between subjects, so much so that I think other OEMs need to learn more about this tuning, but again, this is only if photography is all you care about. To conclude, remember the time when HTC insisted that 4 megapixels is all you should care about on the camera of the One M7? Right, that HTC that's pretty much dead today. By contrast, remember how Apple said it would never do a big phone and then launched the iPhone 6 Plus? Consumer desires change, and the only companies that survive are those who either create the shift or adapt quickly. Samsung has mostly been first, Apple has usually done it better even if late, but they both own their success for a reason. Listen, OnePlus disrupted the market so much that their core strategy is still seen today in the base iPhone 14 and the Galaxy S21 FE. The problem is that even the iPhone 12, that's 3 years old and $100 cheaper, does a better job at video than this OnePlus 11. It would be wrong for me to just sit here and tell you that this is my favorite phone as I grab an iPhone to edit the reel for this video. The fact is, as much as I really want to love this phone, I can't. You could even argue that this is just a creator problem, but more and more of my non-creator friends are starting to care. I can't just let that slide when the chip is capable and even the megapixels are here. Listen, if you're in the market for a powerful smartphone with crazy battery life, insane fast charging, flexible software, and a pretty good set of cameras for photography, I think this OnePlus 11 is the best bang for the buck for you. If you don't care about those wireless chargers you already purchased and the bug for creating TikToks and Reels is still not for you, then hey, you should be fine. The problem is, I seriously think that OnePlus should start focusing on the future and not the past. If you think of it, every single one of my complaints is software related. OnePlus can make this phone great right now if it wants to. I've provided this feedback for years and they keep telling me that their consumer data says otherwise, and you know what other company would say that? HTC. I seriously doubt that Apple and Samsung made those video changes years ago over not knowing consumer data. So, dear OnePlus, how about if you do never settle for real this time, just for old time's sake? Let us know if you agree with my assessment in the comments down below, and while you're at it, follow us on social media and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this one. You can also follow me on my personal handles to see me want to love this phone and not be able to. Please give this video a thumbs up if you like what you saw. I'm Jaime Rivera. Thanks so much for watching. We'll see you on the next one.